Something I've never understood is the saying to use something as a crutch. I've heard it a lot more lately, so I'm trying to figure out how to wrap my mind around the meaning of that and whether it's a good thing, a bad thing, or if it's just a thing. What I've found so far is that means that it gives you help and support. To use something as a crutch is to use something to give you help and support. Or also to use something to transfer weight off of another area to alleviate something else. So to use something as a crutch, okay, let me try to think of an example. Okay, here's one. The stigma around mental health, using mental health as a crutch. So would it be correct to say that if someone relies on a diagnosis or a label of depression, saying that they do something because they're depressed, is that what it means? Using the label of depression as a crutch to take the pressure of something else off of them? So like if something is really hard and they're having a struggle with it and they say, I'm having a hard time because of blank, does that mean whatever blank is helps alleviate the pressure of the other thing that they're struggling with? I've never understood. I'm trying to understand what that means at using it as a crutch. My experience with things is I've had a lot of my journey the last few years. Actually, wow, 10 years now. Holy moly, 10 years now. A decade worth of going to doctors and figuring out what explains this, different diagnoses and different reasons for things happening. I use them to explain things. It's like, okay, so for instance, I hope I'm thinking this through correctly. So the reason I'm on disability is because my chronic medical issues don't allow me to do the same things as people who don't have these chronic medical issues. So having the fact that I was born with a connective tissue disorder that I just now figured out is why I have all these problems. I'm using that as an explanation, not as a crutch. So when I say I can't walk a mile because my joints won't support me and I get out of breath because of my connective tissue disorder, that's an explanation for why I can't walk the mile. Not saying oh, I can't do it because I have blah blah blah. So that's me trying to get out of it. Is that what it means? Is that what it means? Trying to get out of something by using light bulb. That's what it means. So using something as a crutch is actually a derogatory thing. That's why there's so much negative stigma around what some would consider a label, when if you change your mentality on that and have like a more mindful thought process between labels and diagnoses, so using something as a crutch means you're using it as an excuse not to do something or not to take personal responsibility. You're using it as an excuse instead of using it to explain. Like, for instance, if I have to call off an appointment because I feel sick, or having to call off an appointment because I just don't feel like going. Feeling sick isn't an excuse. Feeling sick is a valid explanation of why I shouldn't be at that, why I shouldn't drive there and have the appointment. Because I don't feel like going is an excuse, not an explanation. It's just I feel like blah. So using something as a crutch is using it to take the responsibility off yourself, using it to get out of a certain situation, instead of saying, for instance, one reason that I can't work a regular job is because my brain doesn't function in a way that is necessary in a regular work situation. Between my brain fog, my delayed recall, memory issues, becoming exhausted easily, getting confused, forgetful. All of these things are explanations for why I don't have the ability to work a regular job. They're not an excuse not to do it. An excuse not to do it would be I can't even think of, I've never thought in a way of having excuses. I've only ever thought in a way of having explanations for things. So when someone says I'm using something as a crutch, because I don't even understand what that means, that doesn't mean I'm not doing it. but the way my brain is wired, I don't think of using things as a crutch. I think of having an explanation for things, because I have always had a solid moral standard for things. So in my mind, the way I was brought up and the way that I think is, we don't make excuses for things. If you literally, physically, mentally can't do something, then that's fine. At least you try. And if you try and you can't do it, then, but at least you tried. At least you gave it what you could give it and found out that it's not possible for you. So there weren't excuses. That's probably why I've never understood using something as a crutch. That, and there are some things that I just don't understand, because my autistic brain takes things literally, and also having that standard of having a good work ethic. I don't understand why people would make excuses for things if they can do them because of what I can't do. Different sides of the fence, I guess.